I bought some more men's fragrances from Zara, and it's time to open these up and share my thoughts on them with you. So this will be a first impressions and not a full in-depth review. So let's start with Zara Unexplored Noir. The notes for Zara Unexplored Noir are cardamom, pink pepper, pine tar, cashmere, iris, violet, caramel, sandalwood and patchouli. Now this is part of a series or line or collection from Zara that I previously bought the other three. I can't remember the name of that line, but I'm gonna link to my video of the other three above. So note-wise, this looks really interesting. Let's see what it's all about. Oof, okay. Woody and powdery straight away, and I actually like this. Yeah, incredibly woody and powdery straight away. Also quite intensely spicy, but I'm gonna say this is like smooth, intense spicy. And even though this isn't overly sort of a piney, I can definitely pick up on that part in here. This is absolutely gorgeous, and this might actually be I'm not sure, but this might actually be my favorite in this line. This is quite woody, it's definitely powdery. This goes sort of in a warm direction, even though I don't feel this is too heavy and too warm. And it definitely has a very attractive spicy side to it. And the more it dries down, the more of a sort of a sweetness I'm picking up. Now Zara makes clones, but I'm not exactly sure what this reminds me of. This is woody, spicy and powdery. This could almost have been something in the Givenchy Gentleman line of men's fragrances, or like cousin to Dior Homme Intense. Absolutely gorgeous, and if you love woody and powdery scents that are quite spicy, smooth spicy, with a bit of sweetness, then this is definitely something to check out. Next up is For Him Black Edition. The notes for Zara For Him Black Edition are cardamom, pink grapefruit, orange blossom, sandalwood and cedar. So I previously bought For Him Red Edition, which basically is heavily inspired of Baccarat Rouge 540. Now I really enjoyed the Red Edition. The performance was not the best though, but let's see how this one smells like. Okay, a bit of freshness, something sort of aromatic. This is nice as well. I'm not sure the notes are correct here, because I'm definitely getting like a mix of sort of aromatic freshness and citrusy freshness with a bit of spiciness in the opening. So it definitely feels like there's something missing when it comes to the notes. So like a citrusy fresh opening with a bit of sort of aromatic freshness. It's also sort of a smooth, spicy in the opening. I also pick up on something that could be sort of a slightly sweet, and this is quite woody. This, much like a lot of the fragrances from Zara, feels very, very familiar. This could almost be like a mix of different fragrances in the La Nuit de l'Homme line of men's fragrances. This has sort of a quite familiar mix of spiciness, something aromatic, a bit of sweetness, and definitely a bit of woodiness. So yeah, this smells incredibly familiar. This is a very mass appealing scent. Most who get away from this will enjoy it. I like it, I think it's good. It's definitely not a love though. And this compared to the La Nuits does not feel as well made. So moving on to Zara Man Gold. The notes for Zara Man Gold are lemon, praline, cinnamon, ebony tree and amber. Now the notes on this one look really interesting, so this is going to be interesting for sure. Ooh, okay. Spicy. Definitely quite a prominent dose of spiciness and like citrusy freshness in the opening. And this sort of dries down really fast. So it goes from like quite citrusy fresh, spicy citrusy fresh, to something that is quite sweet. Yeah, sweet and woody. And once again, this smells, and that's basically what I'm gonna say when it comes to all of these fragrances, because they are basically clones of other fragrances. This smells very familiar. However, I really don't know what this is supposed to be a clone of. Yeah, and the more it dries down, the more I feel its sort of a spiciness gets quite smooth. Its citrusy freshness dies off quite quickly though. And this turns into something that is primarily woody and sweet. Now, the sweetness almost has like a nutty and chocolate-ish kind of vibe to it. And the notes stay praline, but I'm not getting quite praline. Maybe something praline-ish. But there's definitely a sweetness to this scent. The more it dries down though, the sort of a flatter and less nuanced it gets. So moving on to Zara Man Silver. The notes for Zara Man Silver are lemon, lavender, pepper, neroli, orange blossom, cedar and sandalwood. Let's see what this one is all about. Okay, citrusy, quite floral. Yeah, like citrusy lavender-ish bomb with quite a prominent dose of white flora straight away. Yeah, if you don't enjoy citrus heavy fragrances, then stay away, because this is absolutely loaded with citrus in the opening. It's also loaded with quite a prominent dose of lavender. I do enjoy the opening, but then again, I absolutely love the scent of lavender, and I do enjoy sort of fresh fragrances that are a mix of freshness, something sort of aromatic, and white florals. Now, in less than 3 minutes, its woodiness comes forward, and this turns into something that to me is primarily woody with the lavender and that sort of white floral-ish side to it. Unfortunately, this sort of rushes quite quickly from the initial opening to the dry down. And that's something I've noticed with at least a lot of the sort of older Zara fragrances, is that they really go quite quickly from the opening to the dry down. So what that means is that this unfortunately goes, that initial citrusy freshness with the white florals and the lavender gets quite soft quite quickly. I like it, but I'm definitely not blown away. And it's unfortunate that that sort of freshness of it goes away so quickly. So moving on to Zara Seoul Sinsa Gangnam-gu. Now this is very clearly heavily inspired. This is basically Zara's clone of Paco Rabanne Invictus. So if you like Paco Rabanne Invictus, then you will most likely enjoy this one as well. So moving on to Zara Blue Spirit. The notes for Zara Blue Spirit are tangerine, ylang ylang and amber. So smooth, citrusy freshness with quite a prominent dose of sweetness. And I actually, this is kind of cool. I actually quite like this, even though I in a way would have loved for this to have an even bigger dose of sort of freshness to it. And yeah, much like some of the other ones, this goes almost immediately into the dry down. It does not take long for this to change from that initial sort of a smooth citrusy freshness to something that to me is quite fruity, like fruity sweet with that initial dose of citrusy freshness. And wow, this changes so quickly. So in less than 5 minutes, this almost turns into something that could be, yeah, this is weird because the notes doesn't have any sort of woodiness to them, but sort of a woody and amber with a bit of sort of a fruity sweetness to it. It feels like this rushes so quickly, even quicker than most Zara fragrances, from the opening through to the dry down. And the dry down, at least to me, is not that exciting. So yeah, don't buy. So I'm gonna rank these just based on this first impression. And I do think that the one that comes in on the very last place is Blue Spirit, because yeah, it's not a bad fragrance. The scent is good, but the scent is definitely not great. And it feels like it just rushes from the opening through to the dry down. So coming in on last place is Blue Spirit. Now on fifth place could almost be like a toss-up between the Silver one and gold one. I definitely like them both, but neither of them is something that blows me away. So I think I'm gonna put silver on 5th place, because I do feel that gold has a bit more sort of a personality to it. So on 3rd place, and this is actually a bit sort of a hard, because I really like freshness and sweetness, and that's basically what Sinsa, the Seoul one, gives me. However, for him was actually quite nice, even though the dry down felt a bit flat. So, I think, and you would probably not choose the same. Please do share in the comments if you would choose the same as me. But I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with, for him, black on 3rd place. And on 2nd place comes Seoul. And that means that my very favorite, my absolute favorite out of all of these is Unexplored Noir. I do want to say something about Unexplored Noir. This smells so much more well made. And this is something I've said in my other videos where I shared my thoughts on the sort of a newer Zara fragrances, is that a lot of them feel very, very different compared to sort of older Zara fragrances. They smell a lot more well made, and it really feels like Zara has truly stepped up the game, like starting from like 1 or 2 years ago. So yeah, there you go. Now I would love to know how you would rank these. Would you rank them the same way as I did? And what are your thoughts on these if you have tried any of them? Like this video, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you check out the videos over there, and I'll see you in the next one.